Hello and welcome to Getting Your Money's Worth, the show that focuses on value. I'm Judith West, and our guest today is John Campbell, founder and CEO of My Vet Work.
That's right, My Vet Work.
My Vet Work, V-E-T, W-R-K.
V-E-T, as a military veteran.
Okay, okay. So you anticipate my question. I was going to ask you, what is My Vet Work?
My Vet Work is really the first nonprofit, nonpartisan social network that's geared specifically and designed for the military and their families.
So let's go slow. So
Okay.
You are a nonprofit. What you call what?
Nonpartisan, meaning it's not geared at one particular branch
of the
service.
So it's a So it is a nonprofit. Equal opportunity across the military.
All families, friends, supporters.
All wars,
right.
Or reserves.
Exactly.
Exclusively for veterans.
For the active duty, guard, reserve.
So for the military, active or reserve or discharged. Social network. Why do all these folks need a social network?
Well,
I mean, don't they band together?
No. I mean,
around?
you think of it this way. You've got a reserve or National Guard unit that's located in some town in this country. The people that serve that Guard or reserve unit are now in Iraq. Their families generally don't live close to the base. They live 2 or 3 hours away by car. So in the town that the families live in, there are no support services. There are no military families. There are no teachers that understand what the problems are when they see a student acting up in class, a young boy or girl. Mm-hmm. The pediatricians don't have any experience with what the psychological issues may be for family, or a pastor who doesn't know how to care for family.
Because these are generally men or women, but mostly men, that have been lifted up from their home communities and become part of a group
overseas.
First, maybe in a reserve,
right.
Where they train,
Mm-hmm.
and then overseas.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty obvious that the families of veterans would need some kind of a apparatus to which to cling. So how did you get this idea started?
Well, it's interesting. I come
Are
from,
you a veteran yourself?
I'm a veteran myself. I was a platoon commander in the Marine Corps during Vietnam in 1968. I was hospitalized twice, and so I remember very vividly what my family went through during those 2 hospitalizations. And in those days, you didn't have communication like you do today.
You didn't have cell phones?
No, nothing like that.
Right.
And they were completely in the dark about what was going on there.
Where were you? You were?
I was in Hue, the battle for Hue.
Right. And your family
was in New York.
New York.
In New York. In fact, my parents were so concerned about me during the first hospitalization, they flew to Tokyo to see me because I was in Yokosuka Naval Hospital.
Right.
So, today you've got tremendous amounts of communication.
Because of the internet and the cell phone, people, they can talk to each other, their families
right.
at least.
The difference is that today you have to go to the internet and you go to 1, 2, 3, maybe 5 or 6 sites to get the information you need. What I'm trying to do is create an umbrella organization where everybody who wants to service the military and their families can come for free into my network. So
you mean vendors too?
Sure.
So what kinds of the family of a veteran or someone active duty goes to your website for what? For friendship? For purchasing?
What makes our site different than just about any other out there is that it has a very powerful matching capability. So let's say you're a mother of a Marine and your son or daughter has been wounded in Iraq and has been disabled, coming out of a VA hospital, and you live in Enid, Oklahoma. You would like to talk to another mother who has been through that, who knows what's going to happen to her family, to the dynamic. On My Vet Work, you can find that mother. So you can
find a match.
Yes, you can find a match.
It's almost like a dating service.
It is like that. It's a little more serious, and you can do it for other things. I mean,
But you can, and if you wanted to find information about other resources that might be that maybe should be explored for your son or your husband or your friend, you could do that also.
I mean, if you're looking for, you know, what's the newest thing in armed prostheses, for example, you know, you could find information like that on the site. The whole idea is that people exchange information and become sources themselves and want to help out. You know, the military is a very interesting group of people, and those that are family members.
Do they help themselves out, the military?
Do they help themselves?
I mean, do they create like a network of their
They
own?
have them. They have networks that are limited. Maybe it's based on a base or based on a service.
It's not as
all-encompassing. But it doesn't bring everybody in. And if you're this mother I was describing, you don't care if it's another Marine mom you talk to.
No, of course not.
It could be an Army mom or a Navy corpsman mom. It doesn't make any difference. You just want. You've got an issue. You want help.
Right. We've been exposed to a lot of unkind stories or almost horror stories about the way our veterans are treated. Are they true?
I can't. I really can't comment on whether they're true or not. I know that there have been instances where situations have been allowed to you know, degrade or.
Is the trauma worse for veterans today than it has been in past wars?
You know, my guess there is yes.
And why would that be,
John? In Vietnam, that's all I can speak to, is there were safe areas. You would go out on patrols and you would come back at least to a perimeter where you could feel relatively safe. In Iraq, with the detonation of these, what they call IED bombs that could be anywhere, you're never safe. There's never that feeling of safe. So this whole issue of PTSD and traumatic brain injury is pretty serious because there's so many people that have it because they have been exposed to these terrible explosions.
Yeah. What gave? So you thought of this idea?
Well, you know,
found it based on your own experiences?
Basically, in 2003, when the war started, I mean, I've been a commercial banker for 25 years. But in 2003, I said, you know, it's time to do something, and I didn't know what to do.
You already did something once for your
well, yeah, but I felt it was time to help again, and so I put together a group of people as like investors who felt the same way, and we were looking for ways to really be as helpful as we could to the military, and we came upon a particular piece of software that we've custom designed just for the military and their families that has this matching capability. And we saw that since there was no way to date on the internet for somebody to find all the resources under one umbrella, that's what we designed.
Does it cost anything for people to come on?
It's free. Right. It's free. We're basically the business model is we're a hybrid. We're a not-for-profit. Right now, and we're going after foundations and high net worth individuals.
How do you keep yourself funded? Philanthropy?
Right. Yeah, philanthropy right now, and then we hope that once we have a community of 1 million people, we'll have a commercial aspect where we will bring advertisers, interested parties who share our vision for what this site should be. We don't want it to be a shopping mall. We really want it to serve the community.
To serve the community, right. Right. Do kids go on?
Generally, it's 18 and above.
Is that what you?
We're really looking for people who are cadets. We've got a way for cadets at the service academies to come on, all the way up to those who are retired. I
saw on reading some literature that on your board of directors you have General James Jones.
Yes. Well, I don't know how much longer he'll be on. I think he will be stepping down fairly soon.
You had the benefit of having someone on that is now National Security Advisor.
Well, you know, he's been a close friend, Judith, for a long time. So we were college classmates.
Oh, really?
And we were in the Marines together.
You were in the Marines together.
Yeah, so we've been close friends for many, many years. He's a fine individual and a great pick for National Security Advisor.
Right. So were you surprised?
We'd had conversations, and the fact that he wouldn't commit one way or the other or tell me, I knew that something was in the works.
Something going on, right. This feeling of having done something so nice and being part of this, once you're in the military, you have this extended community feeling stays with you, doesn't it?
Well, it is. There's a camaraderie that's built up, especially those who've been in combat. There's something you really share. But we think of it as you have immediate family, and then we all have extended family. But when we're in a war and we have service members who are in harm's way, the extended family very quickly becomes an immediate family. So we think that the population that we hope to serve is 40 or 50 million people. And it's interesting how many people don't realize that a family member has been in the service. What we're hearing all the time are people that, gee, I didn't know my dad was at Anzio, or I didn't know my...
Yeah, there's a tendency for, at least there has been, I don't know about now, for veterans not to talk about what they did.
Yes, you're right.
Why is that?
I don't know. I think it's because if you can't talk about what you've done with somebody else who's done it, it's a conversation that probably begs more questions than it answers, and at the end you kind of...
But I think it's a shame too, because it instills a point of pride.
Yeah.
And speaking about American values and pride, I mean, I think that's one way to maybe perhaps renew some of that piece that's missing from our values
It is
system.
today, especially Vietnam was so unpopular. Right. I mean, the public didn't like the war, they didn't like the people who fought the war. Right. This, thank God, is different, where you've really got a public that really is supporting the servicemen and women.
Although we've had our share of discord about the war. There's no discussion about that.
There's no issue with that.
I attended a luncheon today. It was something for security. And I was really taken aback because we were all asked to stand up and sing "America the Beautiful." And I thought to myself, and it was a crowd of adults. I thought to myself, how nice this is, at this time of year.
Well,
and I was wondering to myself as I stood there, how many young people today probably could not stand up and sing that song from memory.
They probably couldn't, but it's wonderful.
I looked around and saw a lot of white-haired people, gray-haired men, and everybody was singing very robustly.
Yeah, it's interesting. We're working with a young woman named Maura Sullivan, who was a Marine captain in Iraq, ran a logistical unit, and she's now at Harvard Business School. And she told me, she said, John, it was just amazing. When I was introduced to my class at Harvard as returning from Iraq as a Marine captain, he said, they didn't just clap, they all stood.
Yeah, so it just shows you.
It just shows that, if more people make it known what they've done, more people will be.
So it just shows you, patriotism is alive and well.
It is alive and well.
Thank you very much for helping to push that.
Well,
Thanks
thank you,
for
Judith.
being on the show, and a good holiday season to you.
You too. Bye-bye.
You're watching Getting Your Money's Worth. I'm Judith West. Thanks for watching.